Okay, everybody, welcome to the Green Fork Food for Thought podcast. Today's guest is Katie Tansey. She is a longtime friend of mine. She's an ally in the wellness community here in Saratoga. She's a lifelong athlete, a nutrition coach, community organizer. Katie organizes a group workout club called Savage Sunday, where people from all over get together to challenge themselves with tough workouts, and then we all hang out and get to know each other afterwards. It's pretty fun. She's a major force in the wellness community, and she's connected a lot of folks, and she's just an awesome person. And I've known her for a long time, so I'm just happy to have you on here today, Katie.
Thanks. I'm so happy to be here. Yeah, goodness, we do go back at least 5 years at this point, I think.
I know. I think you met me through Green Fork. You heard about Green Fork, and then
I did,
came
but
over and checked it out.
We've got Tangleroot Farms actually to thank because
yeah.
You had posted something on Instagram. This was during COVID.
Yeah.
And Adam reshared something that you had posted, and you were in Spa Park doing, I think, some type of animal flow or Budokan or something like that.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, what's this guy all about? And then all of a sudden, I was following you and seeing that you were doing workouts, one, in person, and two, in the park. And I was like, okay, the gym I was going to at that point was not operating in a way that I really loved. And so it was that I met you and then found out about Green Fork.
That's right. You and Bill joined me in the park that summer. That's when we met. That's right. Yeah, that was a fun summer. I brought I was day to day, every day, bringing kettlebells and dumbbells and bands and everything to the state park and putting people through workouts. And that's what got me through COVID.
Yeah.
I had to. I remember I sat around first couple of weeks of it. I was like, man, this kind of sucks. I got to do something. I got to get moving. I can't keep still.
Yeah.
I got to keep doing what I'm doing. And, that's what came out of it. And, you guys joined us, and that's great.
Well, the funny thing is that some of this stuff, it's almost like I'm here in the present, but now because of just connecting and being a little bit more involved in Battleground, and then Facebook saying, oh, you should know Reba, and connecting with her on Instagram, and then going back and just kind of creeping her a little bit, going all the way back to those early days and finding out like when Battleground was started and how you guys met. It's all now somewhat coming together because she also was doing workouts outside before she started the gym. So it's just kind of funny how small this area is, but yet at the same time, like I know more and more people in the fitness space. Yeah. Probably because of you.
Yeah, I started at Fit Strength and Conditioning, which was on High Rock in Saratoga, and I met a whole bunch of people. That's when I moved back from Arizona.
Yep.
And I just met a whole new community of people that are still my friends to this day, and gym members and everything. And Reba was, she was a coach there. She was the head coach there. And then, COVID hit, and we both kind of did our own things. Then we came back together, and it's just really great to, have that community and to know that, even through these tough times, we can still all come together and work out and share that. And that's what you're doing now with Savage Sunday, which is the thing you started, which is great. I love it. I'm a member. I'm a Savage.
That's right.
We all get together at the Schuylerville High School track and a couple Sundays a month and work out, tough workouts. And so tell me a little bit about that. How'd you create that? What was your thought behind that?
Oh, goodness. It goes back. Honestly, it starts, I think you even said this in another podcast, actually, about most people who are in this space get into this business because of an experience of their own that comes from their own health or wellness journey.
Yeah.
And while I was a nutrition coach prior to kind of what I was navigating personally 2 years ago, now 2.5 years, my body just started freaking out, and I didn't necessarily know what was at the bottom of it. I was lifting with you at the time, trying to have some type of goal to chase after, and my body just kept pushing back. And, through working with you and kind of just needing to be really open and honest with kind of what my heart and my body was telling me, but my heart was telling me, my brain was telling me, but my body fighting back. Yeah. I had to find this place of just a little bit more groundedness, needed to figure out what mindfulness really meant for me. And I remember starting 2 years ago, my 3 words for the year, and I'd never had a word that sort of encompassed what I was focusing on for the year, but it was curiosity, connection, and community. And that sort of kept me in a headspace of kind of saying, these are the things you should be focusing on to help you navigate what was going on, not get too far ahead of yourself. And then going from that into, I guess it was really last year then I took, so it was 2 years ago, was connection, curiosity, community. And community just continued to be something that was very much at the forefront of where I was for my own personal wellness, feeling like, I was exercising, I was eating really well, but there was an element that was missing. And I think it was the ability to create really meaningful connections with people. And I think part of that came from one, having my own multiple businesses and working for yourself and not being in an office environment, but also too, Bill and I don't have kids. So it's not like that's pulling us out and getting us into the community in some way. And the gym that we belong to, while it serves a purpose for a really efficient workout to get us in and out, the gym itself is probably one of the weakest in terms of creating a really great community that a lot of other gyms that we'd belonged to had done that for us. And so for me, it was basically like, who are the people Bill and I really like, or really at that point, probably was like, who are the people that I like? Bill sent me a workout by the guy's handle on Instagram is Winnie's World. And it was the farmer's carry workout. And I sent it to you and Mike, and I was like, do you guys want to do this? This was, Savage Sunday hadn't even really become like a thing in my mind. It was just like, there's a workout. Who do I know that I could convince to do this? And it was you and Mike.
Of course.
And Bill looked at me and he's like, okay, you sent it to two guys who are younger and stronger than I am. Really, Katie? And I'm like, well, why not?
Let's go.
Let's just do it. So it was really just that one workout and kind of like saying something to you, and I think sending it to a couple other people, and it was just sort of like, okay, this is something that people would be interested in, so let's do it.
I was totally on board with that. And I think you said something that intrigues me, is like the social aspect, like the community aspect of wellness is something that we take for granted, or maybe don't think about as much. But when you talk about my 5 pillars, which is physical health, mental health, spiritual health, financial health, all that stuff. Socially, we need to interact with people that are into the same things as we are, and we need to be out there doing things that fuel our souls. And sometimes it can be isolated, especially through COVID. I mean, like I said, that's part of the reason why I needed to just keep moving and keep talking to people. And you've done a great thing by starting this Savage Sunday thing. But I remember when you brought it up, I was totally on board. Like, let's do it. I don't even care. Like, you could tell me, hey, we're going to go hike this mountain. We're going to run up this mountain and then carry some rocks back. Okay, I'm down.
Yeah, that's what I like about you. That's what I like about Mike. Mike actually takes it to a one step further of like, how much more miserable can we make this?
Well, this is something I want to talk about. Type 2 fun.
Yes.
You said that to me, and I totally got it, but like, let's break that down. So type 2 fun is something that's like challenging, right? And you it sucks, but you kind of embrace the suck, and you just do it, and then you come out of it like feeling so much better. And I don't think a lot of people have that,
It's one of those things that when somebody suggests, for me, the concept came into my consciousness with skiing. Thinking back to it was probably a lot that was a part of my time when I was training for Ironman as well.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, I guess I've pursued things that would have been considered type 2 fun. So it's not like that like, hey, let's go for a walk, or hey, let's go for a bike ride, or something where it's your life isn't at danger in doing it.
Right.
But yet when you're doing it, it's not something that either comes easy to you, or it takes a certain amount of effort, a certain amount of desire to achieve something that's difficult or challenging.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, type 3 fun would be like, okay, you're approaching it and like, there's a possibility that we could,
like rock climbing or
right,
something.
like not live through this.
Yeah.
But type 2 fun really is like one of those things that it's sometimes excruciating. And you question why you're doing it while you're doing it. But then once you're done doing it, you're pretty amazed at like how you feel and the satisfaction of the accomplishment.
For me, I love those moments when you're like mid-workout or mid-run or whatever, and you just have this inner bitch voice that's yelling at you like, why are you doing this? You don't have to do this. Stop. Whatever. And you're like, shut up. And you keep going. And it's like every time you tell that voice to shut up, that's a win.
Yeah.
And that just like empowers me so much.
Yeah.
And then when you reach the finish line, you're like, yeah,
Yeah.
did that. And I live for that stuff. So that's, I don't know. That's what keeps me going. So that's why I work out, honestly, is like to be a better version of myself. And how do you quantify that? With those little wins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's, the idea of type 2 fun, while it's probably evolved, the first time that I remember physically being put outside of my comfort zone was in college. I signed up to do an Outward Bound course as part of my gym credits when I was going to school at Penn State. And I picked this sailing course that we did out in and around like the Florida Keys.
Oh,
and at the
nice.
time, my roommate at the time was supposed to be on that trip with me. So part of the coursework was like classroom time, learning how to read a chart, navigation from a boat, how to operate, a sailboat. And right before the spring break trip that we were supposed to go on, Alyssa got mono and couldn't go on the trip.
Yeah.
And here I am as somebody who's very much like, I would consider myself to be an extrovert, but in situations where I'm the only, like, I don't know anybody else.
Yeah.
I don't love that. I love to have like a wingman.
Yeah.
And
sure.
so in that situation, she didn't go on the trip and I had already paid all this money for it. So I went on it. And here I am in the middle of, out, on a boat with a bunch of strangers, like you're going to the bathroom on a box at the front of the boat or going to the bathroom in the water.
Yeah.
I remembered myself just in this position of learning so much about how I interacted with other people, the role that I typically played in that environment.
Yeah.
And it was truly outside of my comfort zone to be amongst a bunch of people that I didn't have at least some type of like true connection with.
Yeah.
But coming away from that, while it wasn't, I guess the uncomfortable piece for me at that point in time was the fact that I didn't know anybody else. Mm-hmm. And that I had to navigate a social situation on my own.
Yeah.
But it ended up being one of the best growth experiences at that point in my life because I could use it during the interview process when I was going to get jobs when I graduated in terms of how you work with others, how do you motivate other people. Mm-hmm. So that would have been probably the first thing that I did. And then once I graduated, it very quickly became marathons to triathlons to something.
What's that introspective piece? Like you're in that uncomfortable situation and you have to look within and be like, how am I going to get through this? Mm-hmm. And then you just find it and do it and then you grow from that, right?
Yeah.
And you can do that in a tough social situation or you can do it on your own, on the road, running a marathon or riding a bike or whatever. There's a lot to be learned from that. You can learn a lot about yourself through physical things and social situations. That's awesome. I love it. So switching gears a little bit.
Yeah.
You're a nutrition coach.
I am.
Yeah. Tell me about how you got started in that. Like how, what fueled that initiative, that drive to want to help others?
That's a great question. And one that, after having talked to Mike on his podcast and talking to some other people, I mean, living a healthy lifestyle has been a theme in my life for forever. I mean, it came primarily because of the fact that I watched my mom be diagnosed with cancer at a really young age and her doing anything and everything that she possibly could do to make herself better. And so my brother, sister, and I were always very active, very open to eating well. And my mom was a part of that like weird early, I was born in, the 70s. And so she was part of the early La Leche League, which it's like a movement to breastfeed your children for a decent amount of time. Mm-hmm. And so I was breastfed, I think, till was probably about 2, and then that went into her wanting to keep sugar out of my life, and I didn't teethe on cookies, I teethed on frozen liver strips. So like, I mean, I really got some weird stuff as a really young kid. So like, being in that space.
Teething on liver strips.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's actually a picture of me, but my parents would tell stories about, like, as a kid, like, I'd have like a little brown ring around my mouth because of this liver. But like in the 70s, liver at that, 70s, I mean, and today now, liver's back and very forward thinking, good for you. But in the 70s it was as well, until like the whole thing with cholesterol came out and they thought that it was bad for you. But that was pretty much the beginning of it. And then I did start college with a pursuit to become an RD. Oh. And I don't know if I ever shared that with you or not. So. But at the time, they really focused on the fact that once you finished your undergrad, you'd have to get a PhD. And I didn't see myself wanting to get a PhD. And I also didn't see myself wanting to work in a traditional hospital setting. And that's where a lot of the jobs were at that time.
Yeah, they still are.
Yeah, and I mean, we have more today, I think, with like sports nutrition and that type of thing. Yeah. So for me, it really ended up just nutrition really was a passion that I focused on for a very long time on my own. Yeah. Whether it be through my own marathon running or my own, triathlon type stuff. But I think it was when I was introduced to macros and the concept of macros and macronutrients while Bill and I probably were in our late 30s, early 40s. I saw how much focusing on the proper type of nutrition was impacting the gains or the time that I was spending in the gym. Yeah. It's almost like I heard this really great quote at one point in time, like nutrition is the king, or exercise is the king, nutrition is the queen, and together you really have a kingdom. Yeah. So it's like a 50-50 approach. You can't have really great wellness one without the other. Right. And so for me, I said to Bill, post-COVID, our business had some just pivots we had to make. And I said, at this point in time, I really want to be able to do something that I'm passionate about. I want to get my nutrition coaching certification so I can take you think about it. There's a little bit of pride I have in saying that I'm barking on the door of 50.
You don't look it.
I don't, thank you. It's one of those things like I'm comfortable telling people that because I've worked so hard at putting in the work to ensure that in my 50s, 60s and beyond, like I'm able to do the things that I want to do. Yeah. And so at this point, like I look at it, what do I bring to the table? I bring like 30 years of my own pursuits and my own just continued learning in this space to what it is that I'm doing. Yeah. But I got my nutrition coaching certification now 4 years ago, and I've been working with clients since. And I think, what makes me different in terms of what I do with people is my focus really on nutrient-dense foods. I love making healthy eating simple and enjoyable. And probably the piece that I love sitting down with you and talking about is just the culinary component, the preparation of it. Yeah. Because I think people get really overwhelmed with needing to follow this recipe or needing to create this thing where the longer that I've been tracking macros, the fewer recipes I actually follow. Yeah. And it's more about having really staple things in the house. And I'm able to teach that to people so that they can create meals that are, that can fit into their lifestyles. Yeah. And for me, at the end of the day, it really is about making better choices and establishing sustainable habits that last.
Yeah. And the key to that, I think, is to just keep it simple, right? Like you said, you don't want to look at a different recipe every night and go to the grocery store every night and try to put together this fancy meal every night. No, just eat chicken and rice and broccoli. I mean, that's really oversimplifying it. And like you said, what I try to do, and I think you do too, is bridge the gap, right? There's all this science of like macronutrients, micronutrients, what they do, how important they are in your body. That we could go into a deep rabbit hole about.
For sure.
But let's look at the everyday person. How can I eat this food and keep it fresh and keep it fun and actually like live my life? And, that's where I think more people are needed in the nutrition community because there's a lot of information out there on social media or whatever. but there's not enough practical information. Like, how can I actually get my protein in the day and make it in a way where I'm going to enjoy it as well? You know, I think that's tough. And I think, you know, hiring a nutrition coach that has some sort of background in culinary or whatever, or just, like you said, you have the life experience behind what you're talking about. So, like, you don't just talk it. You didn't just get your certification just because.
Right.
You've lived it for a while, and now you're teaching it, which I think is the best way to do it. You know, you want to hire somebody, or you want to talk to somebody, get advice from somebody that has experience, and you have that, and that's great. So what kind of things do you tell your clients, like, in regards to goals? You know, a lot of people will set like a weight loss goal or a body comp goal. Like, what kind of thing do you talk about first and foremost? Because there's a lot of stuff out there where everybody wants to lose weight. Everybody wants to just see the scale go down, but that's not really the answer, is it?
No, it's
So
not. And I mean,
what do you
again,
say?
I can speak. It was funny. You texted me last night and was kind of like, anything you want to talk about? And I'm honestly an open book when it comes to everything.
We've talked about a lot of things.
Everything. I feel like there's no reason to hide things, and especially when it comes to women's health. I feel as though too many things are like taboo, or you don't want to talk about them, or like it's just not common knowledge, where it's, no, I think we do need to talk about it. We do need to share, because I think that creates the foundation for other people to be curious about something and kind of, you know, chase whatever it is that they're after. So you specifically asked, where do I start with my clients?
Yeah.
I like to say that I start with, what is their why?
Yeah.
Why are they doing this?
Yeah.
A lot of times, and I can speak from my own personal, more recent experience, for whatever reason, and this happens a lot. It happens all the time with my nutrition coaching clients. You're after a specific number on the scale.
Right.
Like, for forever, my weight has always fluctuated for the last, 5-6-ish years. Anywhere from 155 to 158. That's just where the scale has been.
Yeah.
And
that's pretty steady, actually.
Yeah, actually, a couple of years ago, I went home. My father was moving out of his house, and I found my prom dress. I tried it on. Stephen, I fit in it.
Oh.
Can I tell you, at like 40-something years old, to know that you put on your prom dress and you zip that up, like, I was like, yes.
And did you and Bill go dancing?
He wasn't there for it. I was actually just going through my phone, deleting pictures, and I found it. I was like, I'm still keeping that.
You need to put that dress on and go dancing.
I think my dad's now wife sold it somewhere, but like, it doesn't matter. Like, the fact that I got that satisfaction of knowing that, like, from the time that I graduated high school to today, and even for that matter, I was telling you about meeting with Lindsay Farrar and having my in-body comp done. At 48 years old, my body composition is better than it was 10 years ago when I was training for Ironman and marathon.
Yeah.
And I know it's so hard for people, especially some of my clients that are chasing after these endurance goals, is you can't chase down these, as an amateur athlete, to chase down these long duration type events and expect yourself to be able to be in the best body composition place.
Yeah.
It's two separate goals.
Yeah.
When you're going the distance, it's about fuel, it's about sustained energy.
Yeah.
And if you want to lose all that fat and be a specific body comp, it's almost counterintuitive.
Right. Your goals depend on what you're trying to do, what you're trying to achieve.
Correct.
Right? So, like, if you're trying to be a marathon runner, you know, you're not going to be super lean. You're gonna want, well, maybe you will, but you're gonna lose muscle. You're not gonna be super muscular.
Correct.
You know, if you're a power lifter or, you know, bodybuilder, then your goals are different. Your nutrition goals are different. So,
Exactly.
Yeah.
So as far as my clients' goals, it really is, you know, what is your why and why are we going after it? And a lot of times women will always say, more often than not, women will say, I want fast results, it's harder to sustain, but yet at the same time, they also say, I want to be healthy, and I know that I'm perimenopausal, and they're a little contradictory. So for me, it's about let's see where they are presently, because I think that we are so ingrained, women specifically, in the less is more, especially when it comes to food. And a lot of people aren't even eating enough to sustain their basal metabolic rate.
Right.
And you wonder why you've got issues with hormones and things going awry.
Yeah.
And I think I was telling you just about wanting to be in this quote unquote cut, and my body just fighting back at me. Like, I was waking up in the middle of the night. I wasn't feeling like sustained energy right and around, like from, ovulation to the time I got my period. Like, I just had crazy cravings. I was like, this is not normal. And I went back up to maintenance. Things sort of settled out. And then after I met with Lindsay Ferrara and I had the InBody and the metabolic testing done, and it told me, just based on my current body composition and the amount of calories I burn at rest, that I burn far more than I was even consuming.
Yeah, you've been in a deficit
For so long.
without even knowing it. Yeah.
Right. Which, okay, kudos to me, I guess, because I'm in decent shape with decent, muscle mass and that type of thing. But when you have somebody coming in to start to work with you, and one, we don't really have that kind of information on each and every person.
Right.
We have a general mathematical equation that we can use and that type of thing.
Yeah.
But it's sometimes far more complex than that. And I like to think that with my clients, because some of them have been with me now 3-4 years, working on different things, whether it be relationship with food, whether it be training for something else, like, we're constantly getting at sometimes the psychology behind all of this.
Yeah.
And then for me to say, you have been eating really well, and you're hitting your macros and you're doing all these things, but you're also saying that this doesn't feel quite right. And I know that you're over 40, and based on my own personal experience of being in my 40s, maybe it might be time to explore some type of hormonal checks and that type of thing to see how that may or may not be impacting you before you do anything else more extreme.
Yeah. I think just covering all your bases first and foremost. Like you said, like, I'm hitting my macros every day. I'm working out. I'm eating good. I'm hydrated. All that stuff, but I'm still not seeing what I want. Well, there could be an underlying issue there. Yeah. And that's where I think nurse practitioners and functional nutrition therapy and all this stuff, blood work, that comes into play, right? It's easier to work with athletes, I think, because they are pretty dialed in, but like general population, like you said, a lot of it is psychology. It's like, how do you view food? Do you have an eating disorder? It could not even be like a fully diagnosed eating disorder or something, but like, do you binge eat at night or whatever? How do you navigate that with your clients? Like, I ate a good breakfast, I ate a good lunch, but then I had Taco Bell for dinner or whatever. Like, what do you think about that? How would you approach that?
Fortunately, I mean,
it's tough.
It's tough, and that's where it's like, with a current client I'm working with, she's like, I'm probably your shittiest client, and there in my world isn't any shitty client.
Right.
It really is about each of us having our own story and our own set of things that we're navigating. And in reality, when you look at somebody who says they want to change, do their behaviors match what they're outwardly projecting? I want to change.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you really want to change, let's break this down. And I'm not saying, and that's another challenge with people, is I think that they need to be perfect. And that's not realistic, and you're setting yourself up for failure by even expecting that from yourself.
Yeah.
Especially if you're somebody who's getting overwhelmed by just all the things. So let's pick one thing and let's start our day off right, and let's focus on, if you don't want to do all 3 meals out of the day and everything you eat, that's fine. Let's start with the beginning of the day. Let's focus on what you're eating. Does it have the appropriate amount of fiber? Does it have the appropriate amount of protein in it?
Fiber and protein.
How do you feel after you've eaten it? And then as you go out throughout the rest of the day, once you've started off with a really great foundation, then how do your behaviors change throughout the day? And I do it with myself all the time because I pay attention to what it is that I eat. Like this morning, I had the most bizarre breakfast. I had a purple potato that I had just chopped up a little bit of. I had spinach. I had some cauliflower. I took some hard-boiled eggs. I chopped those up. I put some hot sauce on it. I put some other seasoning on it. I mean, was it my best creation? No. But partway through eating this, I'm like, oh my gosh. Oh, I had an Ezekiel English muffin too. I was eating it and I was like,
breakfast.
10 grams of fiber in that breakfast.
Yeah.
But it, like, getting through it, when you look at the caloric content of it, it was like 500 something calories. So not
That's
crazy
fine.
amount of calories.
That's good.
But like if you ate, I mean, there's muffins for 500 calories.
Yeah.
And you eat that and you're just like, okay, I just want more, you know?
Right.
And part of it's
Right.
because the fact it's devoid of any really true nutrition.
Right.
And it's, spiked your blood sugar and all those kinds of things. But it was hard for me to eat it.
Yeah.
Like there was so much fiber, so much filling in it, but it kept me full till I went home and ate lunch. And then I had already prepared food for lunch, which was a pasta salad that I made with some roasted veggies that had beans in it. And it was more beans and veggies than it was pasta, where
So
I
a
think
lot more fiber.
more fiber in it.
Yeah.
And then chicken on top. And normally sometimes I'll say, oh, I just want a piece of chocolate after lunch.
Yeah.
I didn't want anything else because there was so much fiber and protein in it that I felt satiated. So I think a lot of times, while I don't expect my clients to know those types of things,
Yeah.
I want to see what it is that you're eating, not because I'm going to judge you, because I'm not. That's not what I'm here for. I need to understand the baseline
Yeah.
and why some of your habits may be the way that they are, and help you unravel some of those, because I
Yeah.
think you think that you're making bad choices all the time, but your choices sometimes are dictated by how your body's responding to what it is that you've consumed earlier in the day.
Right. Your blood sugar could go way up from
Right.
something you've had, and then you're gonna spike or go down, and then back up and down, and it's this roller coaster ride. I think. What was I gonna say? Yeah, that feedback proponent of being a coach, and just even like when I tell people, I'm like, yeah, you need to track, not because you need to track your macros. That's what I'm talking about. Not for any like I don't care what you eat, but you need to see what it translates to in a numbers sense, right? And then also at the same time, how do you feel? So put the numbers against the feelings, right? And it's important as a coach to see that from your clients and say, oh, well, this explains that. This
Right.
explains why you're having that afternoon crash because you had too much sugar at lunch or whatever. Is that troublesome? Do you feel like people don't actually tell the truth when they, track?
I mean,
Because tracking is important because you have to be honest about it,
Yep.
right? You can't just say, oh, I had a little of this, a little of that. No, you need to really weigh your food. And I know it's a pain in the ass, but you have to weigh your food. If you really want results, you have to be disciplined, and it will give you the feedback, and then we can make changes. Yeah. You're a big numbers person.
I am.
Yeah.
I like numbers. I love data. And for me, I don't have an issue with weighing my food. I feel that when I weigh it, to me, it isn't cumbersome. And in all reality, the macro that was hardest initially for me to hit, the protein, and that is probably for most people,
Oh, yeah.
is now the easiest for me to hit.
That's the focus.
It's the focus. And I don't necessarily get the carbs that I need.
Yeah.
And sometimes I've got a bunch of fat towards the end of the day. And so,
Have some ice cream at the end of the day.
exactly, right? The other day I felt myself just going around the house. It was Saturday or something. And I was like, why do I want, I want to go in the pantry and I want to grab some chocolate. Like I want that right now. And I looked at my fat macros and I'm like, I've got like 34 grams of fat that I need to consume.
So there you go. That's looking at your data and saying, against how do I feel?
I didn't have enough fat. And
Yeah.
the second that I added like a little packet of like a nut mix
Yeah.
that I got like pre-portioned 160 calories. Yes, there were 12 grams of fat in it, but my body needed it.
Yeah.
My body was telling me, you don't have something right now that's keeping you full. And I've waited too long. So it's one of those things that now I have to be better about looking at each of my meals and making sure that in each meal I'm really trying to get an equal amount of proteins, fats, and carbs,
Yeah.
Trying to spread them out. Now, in those days, and that's where people are like, well, it's so restrictive. It doesn't have to be restrictive. If I want to have ice cream, I am going to prioritize my macronutrients slightly different at the beginning part of my day. But I also have gotten to the point that the lure of going for something like ice cream, while it sounds good, the way that I feel after I eat it, oftentimes, I feel like crap. I get bubble gut. My stomach is just not happy. The euphoria and the idea of the pleasure receptors in my body are like, yeah, it's going to be so good.
Yeah.
And
it's never as good as you think it's
no,
gonna be.
and I enjoy it, but half the time after I eat an ice cream cone, I was like, oh, can we go get another one? Like I want more, but that's because it's the sugar in it. Like that's what sugar does to us.
Dopamine and serotonin, all that stuff.
Yeah, and that's not to say that I'm telling people not to, but there's other ways. Like I started making Bill this past week, just something that was a little bit more protein forward. It was just basically a chocolate protein powder in Greek yogurt that I put a little bit of water to thin it out. And then there's this, it's basically Cool Whip, but like a healthier version, non-GMO Cool Whip. So I put like 2 tablespoons of that in it, just gives it a nice like little fluffy thing. And then I crumbled up some like pepitas on top of it, some unsweetened coconut. And then I took some of the simple like almond flour chocolate graham crackers, crunched those up on top of it.
That sounds good.
And he's like, Katie, this is so good. And that's the thing. I mean, it's stupid simple and not real. It's, I call my non-recipe recipe. Like it's just kind of like throw a bunch of things together, play macros Tetris with how many, what you need between now and the end of the day. And he says to me last night, he goes, this is why I think you need a cookbook. And I'm like,
you should.
It's not like revolutionary. I need to get better about sharing that type of stuff on social. Well, and I'm just not as good all the time about it.
Well, it's hard. It's a lot. And you're a busy woman, so. But do you keep track of his macros too? Are you his nutrition coach?
We have a joke. I mean, sometimes when he's not doing what he should be, I'll be like, you don't listen to your nutrition coach. I do not, I don't log his food for him in like a MyFitnessPal, but his plate goes on a scale as well. Yeah. And I have to, I do my best to ensure that he gets more than I do. Yeah. But after learning sort of how my metabolic testing shook out the other day, it has me concerned that he's not eating enough. Because I mean, in terms of what it is that we do, even when he had a Whoop for a little bit of time, he's not a fan of data as much as I am. Yeah. And he doesn't like wearing anything around his, he hates the feeling of it. But when I saw some of his stats from that, just from the little bit of time that he did wear it, it makes me think that what he's burning on a day-to-day basis far exceeds what I burn, and that he needs to probably be taking in a little bit more fuel than he is.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned, the fact that you kind of are intuitively eating at this point. It takes a while to get there. Mm-hmm. So like I was saying before, tracking is so important because it gives you that feedback. And then after a long while, it takes a while to understand, this is what 4 ounces of chicken looks like. And this is what that means protein-wise, like, 40 grams of protein, whatever. That takes a while. And it's not an easy thing. So it's just like if you're starting your nutrition journey and you want to get healthier, you want to start eating better, that's the first step. And it may be cumbersome, but just know that at the end of the tunnel, the whole point is so that you can understand, without using the scale or without using the data, but you need to have that feedback at first.
Yeah, I think so. For me, I don't know if I would call myself an intuitive eater. I know, even though, so just the way my mind works, my plate goes on a scale every morning. Yeah. Now, how I'm prioritizing what I'm eating probably is a bit more intuitive, that I'm gravitating towards that protein. But if my plate doesn't go on a scale, I sometimes find myself reverting into really bad habits of not getting enough fuel. And when that happens, I come home to make dinner, I'm hungry, the box of crackers comes out, the block of cheese comes out, and I can tell you right now, I don't eat crackers and cheese ever, but that's just my old behavior pattern, where now if I know that I'm using that scale and I'm hungry while making dinner, I'm going to have broccoli in the refrigerator and I'm going to eat steamed broccoli as I cook. Because while yes, it does have macronutrients in it, they're far less harmful to my overall goals than a half a block of Cabot cheese and some crackers.
Yeah.
So for somebody, I mean, if at the end of the day they're looking to not have to track for forever,
Right.
that intuitive eating comes after a long time,
Yeah.
and a point at which you have spent enough time being mindful of your hunger cue, what you go and gravitate towards eating, and once you've eaten it, how do you feel after you've eaten it?
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, every client I work with is so different. And there's this new gentleman I'm working with, and he is so much fun for me to work with because he didn't even know what macronutrient was 5 weeks ago.
Wow.
Within his first week of like piddling around with a scale, reading labels, that type of thing, he was at 85% compliance of the macros that I prescribed for him. And that's pretty good.
Yeah. It's
And
a good
then
start.
soon, like 2 or 3 weeks in, he was hitting, some 90 to 95 days. This past Saturday, he was like 2 or 3 grams off of all of them, and he sent me a screenshot, which was fantastic. And, over that period of time, he's had some, personal things that have come up. And there were times where he kind of wanted to throw the towel in, and just the way that I work with people, they commit. When they sign up, they commit to 12 weeks.
Yeah.
And so he couldn't just throw the towel in, and he's happy that he didn't, because he was able to overcome some of those personal things he was going through in an adequate amount of time that basically was like, okay, I just got overwhelmed for a minute. And that's life.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a part of life, is
Yeah.
learning how to ebb and flow with what's thrown at you and how you choose. But he was saying to me, like, he can tell the difference. He's a writer. And he can tell the difference pretty much immediately in his mental clarity, in terms of how well he's able to sit down, focus for a certain amount of time, and write. And now he's getting it, and he's realizing the mind-body connection. So he's really got that great mindfulness component that sometimes, I hate to say it, but women tend to have more on their plates if they're working moms or carting kids around, they're preparing meals, and sometimes they're going through the motions without taking an opportunity to just stop, reflect, and kind of say, why am I doing what it is that I'm doing?
Yeah.
And so, it takes, from an intuitive component, it takes a while to get there.
It does, yeah. But like anything, it requires discipline.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, getting back to what we first started talking about, which was the whole type 2 fun thing, right? It's like when you commit yourself to something, and it's hard. I could reach for that peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I could, a piece of chocolate, whatever it is, that comfort food that's going to spike my blood sugar and make me feel good. Having the discipline to sit through that and say, no, I'll have something a little healthier. Over time, you ride that out, and you're just so much more consistent, and you feel so much better. There's no blood sugar spikes. There's none of that. It takes a while, but it's so worth it. I feel like at this point in my life right now, I have this curse of looking at foods, like even as a chef, even as like a culinarian, I look at foods as proteins, carbs, fats, and it's a curse of mine, but I've just gotten to that point where that's how I look at it, and so that's how I kind of view my day, is like, oh, do I need more protein? I had a chicken bacon ranch salad today after I played golf, and I was like, oh, that's cool, but I'm gonna need to eat like a nice dinner now because I kind of fucked off for lunch.
That ranch dressing.
Yeah, that's the only bad thing I think of it. The greens were good, everything else was good, but yeah, so like you just have this mental calculator going in your head all the time of like, oh, I've had this, now I need this, So it takes a while to get there, but I think, a lot of people have no clue about what they're eating, and they'll just go to McDonald's and get whatever, and then they wonder why they feel like crap.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, you just hit 395 pounds on your hip thrust.
I did.
And what was your deadlift max?
My deadlift was 2 something, right?
Yeah.
235, I think.
255?
I don't know if we hit that yet.
We got to look at those numbers, but she's a beast. Ladies and gentlemen, she's a beast.
I try not, it's funny. Having CrossFitted for a period of time and, CrossFitted as an aging athlete, right? So, I mean, I did...
Well, you've done the whole gamut. You've done Ironmans, you've done endurance, you've done CrossFit, and now you're sort of...
I'm in
you talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so, I mean, for me, having come off of, which one? Chicken egg. So... Marathons, triathlons preceded CrossFit. I can't remember if I had done my ultra marathon yet or not, but somebody basically was like, come check out CrossFit. And I was like, okay. And my primary goal with CrossFit was to do a pull-up. I mean, that's why I approached CrossFit, because I knew that they did a lot of those types of movements.
Coming from an endurance runner
Correct.
kind of background.
Yeah, background.
Yeah.
And I wasn't a stranger to a weight room, and that was part of, like, my childhood. I grew up in Texas, and up until the middle of my junior year in high school, I was part of, very big Texas athletic programs. So
they
in
take
those,
it serious down there.
totally serious. And I was in a weight room at a really young age.
Yeah.
So fortunately enough, I had coaches way back then, and even into my marathon and triathlon times, that I just was fortunate with my exposure to being in a weight room, proper movement, and that type of thing. Fast forward into any of the CrossFit boxes that I attended, most of the coaches I worked with too took form really, really seriously.
Yeah.
So when I started CrossFit, I wasn't, while the Olympic style lifting was new to me, being in a weight room wasn't necessarily new to me. So I was aware of just body movements, proper, you've seen me try to do some of the Budokan stuff. That's a different type of movement. But when it comes to throwing a barbell around, I think I'm pretty comfortable there.
Yeah.
So CrossFit for me really was like, let's do a pull-up. And the funny thing for me is I always genetically, I swam as a kid as well, have had decent upper body strength, but I couldn't do a pull-up. And so for me, that seemed really weird. And so that's why I started CrossFit, just to do that. Now, I didn't do any of the big comps or anything like that, because what I found was, this is probably, this is before macros, when I had moved up here, Bill and I met, I moved up here, we were going to a box in Saratoga, and I was also learning to ski at that point in time. And I had such a hard time CrossFitting during the week and then trying to go to the mountain on Saturday and ski.
That's a lot.
Like I was just, my legs, the amount of control and muscle that I needed to learn to ski wasn't really pairing really well with CrossFit. Yeah. So I needed to back off that. And so at this point, I mean, I do so many different things. Like I'm fascinated right now with high rocks. I love lifting with you. Because the weather is nice right now, Bill and I want to be outside and running. And part of it is because after everything I went through with some of my health stuff, lo and behold, it was, female health and just not being healthy in there, having referred pain. I couldn't build strength for about 2 years. I was going back through just progress pictures over the last couple of years and looking at me, I was like, oh, I was really skinny there. Yeah, I was skinny. And I also lost a whole lot of muscle mass. But now I'm able to, I feel strong. I feel like I'm able to start to run again. We're doing some sprinting, and there's just so much science right now between how sprinting can help with longevity, how, jumping helps with longevity. Like,
there's so many different things that you could chase after.
Right.
You could chase strength. You could be a power lifter. You could go back to doing marathons. You could, but I think like you said, what you're chasing is longevity, and you just want to be active because that's what makes you feel good,
right?
For the rest of your life. And so you don't really have a specific goal. You just want to be well-rounded. Yeah. So right now you're doing, let's say, high-intensity training. You do a little bit of running. You do bleacher stuff. You do outdoor stuff. But then we're working on strength, posterior chain strength. So you've got a couple different goals going on, and I think that's great. I think it's fine to be well-rounded. You can chase different goals. I think people get really narrow-minded sometimes, and they say, like, I know myself, like, for a while I worked on hypertrophy, getting as big as I could, looking as big as I could, and then my mobility was sacrificed. And then I tried to chase powerlifting goals, and my back got hurt. And now I'm sort of in the same boat where it's like, I'm strong enough. I just want to be able to do whatever I want and move and feel good and be strong, and a big piece of it is to look good.
Yeah.
I like looking good.
I mean, who doesn't though?
Yeah.
I mean, if somebody says that I don't want to look good naked.
Yeah.
Really? You don't want to, like, at least
No,
for you, like, I think that that's a healthy thing.
It's confidence, maybe it's your ego, but like, yeah, I want to look good because it makes me feel good. And by the way, looking good is just a byproduct of feeling good. You feel good first, then you start to look better.
Well, and it's amazing too when there might be the most attractive person in the world with the best body, but if they've got a crap personality and they're just mean, it takes away from all the other aesthetic types of things.
Sure.
So I mean, you look at just general well-roundedness as a human, and that's funny because Mike, he's like, I don't want to be around shitty people.
Yeah, I've heard him say that too.
I don't want to be around shitty people.
Yeah.
I just want to be around good people. And that's partly what Savage Sunday for me too is like, I want people, and I was saying this to one of my clients, he's like, do people really just come and walk around the track?
Yeah.
And I was like, not yet, but I want them to,
People
because
do that, yeah.
I think that like everybody comes from their own starting place, and by surrounding yourself with other people who are trying to better themselves, in whatever way that is only going to help you flourish.
Yeah.
So for me, it's funny, just even talking to some of the girls yesterday that we did the 1,000 step-ups with. Actually, somebody that got connected to me through you via Battleground, I guess, and I don't remember her name off the top of my head.
Lisa?
Not Lisa. She hasn't been to a workout yet. She said something to me about, she's really focused on like women's health and, getting in better shape. She just did 75 hard. Does that
Amber.
Yes,
Yeah.
Amber.
Yeah, she's great.
So
Shout out Amber.
she actually made it to the last Savage Sunday, but showed up at 9:30, half an hour late.
Yeah, and then she turned around and went home.
I know. I actually saw the vehicle pull in, and I was like, darn it. Yeah. I think she's going to try to make the next one.
She better.
But she was saying to me, she goes, yeah, I turned 40 next year, and I was like, well, I have 8 years on you. And I said, your 48-year-old self will thank you for all the things that you're doing right now. Yeah. And she goes, I wouldn't have thought you were a day older than me. And it's funny because those compliments are really great. But I started thinking the other day when I was driving, I was like, those compliments are only going to continue to get older and older and older the older that I get. But I show up not because I'm looking to beat Claire. I'm looking to beat Annie, or, I'm competing with Bill. But there's something to be said for having someone to chase after.
Yeah.
Someone to set as your pacer. Yeah. Somebody to kind of inspire, motivate, push. Yeah. And so many people have some really cool stories. And that's what I like about Savage Sunday. People showing up. Even the kids showing up. I want, like, Rebecca Prim's kid. Well, it's Prim's now. That's her maiden name. Meisner. When her kids show up, they're so excited for the Savage Sunday merch. They cannot wait for it to come. Emerson's showing Rebecca his abs because he wants to get buff. Like that to me, those are setting the example for these kids and the type of life that they want to live because they're watching. So while this isn't a kids-specific event, parents who have kids that are old enough come, and some of them play and some of them run after around us. Like,
I love Regan's little boy.
Oh, Robert.
He's the best.
He's hysterical. He's going to
pulled his shirt off.
He wants to be NBA, NFL, NHL. He's all about it.
Yeah, go for it, kid. Mm-hmm. I love it. I think the energy is so great at these events, these Savage Sunday things. And yeah, you're right. Like, it just brings people together. And no matter what level you're at, like, we all cheer each other on. There's people that are more athletic or whatever, but like, we're not just, it's not a competition. We're doing our best, and you see that, and we're gonna coach people on, and I'll put myself in that category. Yeah. But yeah, we push each other. We if I'm done with the workout and you still got a couple laps to go, I'll do them with you. Yeah. We'll coach each other on, and then afterwards we hang out for a little bit. Yeah. We talk, and it's just yes, the physicality is there, but there's also that social connection, which you talked about earlier. And that's so huge. And yeah, I love it. I'm looking forward to the next one. When is the next one?
It's actually this coming Sunday.
Sunday.
We've got 2 in July. Actually, there's 3 different things in July. There's one this coming Sunday. There's one, I believe it's the 27th. And then I threw in rucking. So there's going to be a ruck at some point in between Sunday and the 27th. I don't remember the date off the top of my head.
Is there a schedule to it? Is it every third week?
Every third week is basically, and we started a little bit earlier this year. Well, I say till the snow flies. I think the last one we did last year was November-ish timing. Yeah. And we fell into a little bit of a challenge last year with football schedules and stuff and being able to get on the track. So I'm navigating that. I actually have had Saratoga Peak Performance reach out, and they want to do like a little collaboration with boxing and some like high rocks type stuff. So Reggie's fantastic. He's like, I'm not going to let you say no. I'm like, no, I want to do it, but like, let's wait till the fall, because that's when, 1, we've got issues with weather, and 2, obviously the track's availability. So
bring it inside.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, so anybody's welcome. Anybody can come. There's no membership. There's no fee.
Does not cost anything.
Yeah, you can just show up and meet some cool people and be inspired and motivated. And don't be afraid.
Yeah.
Because there's modifications for everything. Yes, they are tough workouts.
Yeah.
Can't avoid that.
Yep.
But you can do what you can do. And like I said, take as long as you want. We'll be there to cheer you on.
Yeah.
It's a good time.
Yeah.
Where can they find out about that? If they want to join in on the Savage Sunday.
All Savage Sunday stuff is posted on my Instagram. So the easiest, best place to go is at Katie Tanz, Tanz, and that's KatieTanz, for Savage Sunday related stuff. We also have a broadcast channel, but I've had people say that they've had an issue getting into the broadcast channel.
Yeah, I don't.
Can you still not get into it?
I'm in it on my Green Fork account, but
yeah,
I don't. And not on the. Not on my regular account, so I don't know how that
in
works.
my grid, I'm doing my best to post everything now in both
you do a really good job
my
on social media, by the way.
story, thank you, and in my grid. People can DM me, obviously. I do have a website for my nutrition coaching, which is katietanzy.com. I don't have a special link or page specifically for Savage Sunday. Maybe that'll eventually come. Just one more. It's one more thing as like the entrepreneur who's trying to do 1,000 things of just trying to get it out there.
Well, you're not monetizing this. It's not about money. It's not, it's really just about bringing people together. And that's what I think the pure heart, the pure intention that you have behind this whole thing is amazing. Like, that's why I love doing it. And I don't know, people recognize that. It's not a money grab.
Yeah.
You're just really out here trying to promote wellness and health and social connection and all that. You and I had talked about maybe putting together like some sort of wellness fair type of thing, I guess. Like, I think it's sad that in Saratoga specifically, there's so many different bars and restaurants and everything's revolved around alcohol. Why can't we have like just something we can go and have coffee and do a cold plunge and hang out or whatever?
Yeah.
Why can't we do that?
I mean, I've got some thoughts in my head. I don't think I'm going to make it happen this year, but it's funny. Bill and I went out for dinner for his birthday, and I think I might have had a glass of wine, and that's like once in a blue moon do I drink anymore. And it was one of those glasses of wine that it wasn't the same rosé on the menu as it was last year. So we got it, and we're kind of like, oh, okay. And we finished it or whatever, but he's like, I'm not ready to go home. And I was like, either am I. He was like, let's go get dessert. But we couldn't find any place that we really wanted to go for dessert. So we ended up having a fantastic dessert at Osteria Danny. Like, you can't go wrong with I think it's their coconut cream pie.
Coconut cream pie, yeah.
And they've got great coffee. So we sat outside and Bill's like, it tasted good, but he's like, I really didn't need it. And I was like, I didn't feel like I needed it either. But what had happened is it was just we have had so much rain this year. And it was so nice out. We didn't want to go home.
Right.
And so we picked that place that he's like, next time let's go, get a tea and sit on a park bench, just something. But part of it is because the fact that when you are out and about, you want a destination. You want to be able to go somewhere.
Yeah.
And very few places actually are marketing towards the social piece and not necessarily like come drink booze.
Yeah. Right. It'd be nice to have somewhere to go. I always thought like Saratoga needs like a diner with just like coffee and pie.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily.
And it has to be homemade. It has to be good.
Yeah. Like just sit by the window.
Yeah.
A rainy day, have some coffee and pie. And that's not necessarily what we're talking about, but it would be nice to just have like a place to go and hang out and like have some cool music and have like maybe instead of a cocktail have like a juice or a smoothie or some tea or whatever. We need that. But let's start with Savage Sunday. Let's start getting the community together.
Totally. And we're doing some social stuff afterwards too. I mean, we'd love to go to Kickstart, which is really close to the track. I don't know if they know who we are and like that we're a specific group that just got done with silly workout, but it's been a great place for us to go. We've done some stuff at my house, like some cold plunging and like barbecue type things. We did Bill's birthday, which to me, like, we're not. I'll own it. I'm not really a much for past 9 o'clock kind of person. Yeah. Like, I don't think I really ever have been, although I have done it. But like, we're not big boozers. We're not big drinkers. And the fact that I could celebrate Bill's 50th birthday party, doing something with a bunch of people that physically wanted to challenge themselves was the coolest thing. Yeah. And then we did, like, you guys brought your Green Fork, did burritos for us afterwards, what people loved. And then after the next workout, we're doing something here at the farm, and Mike's got a pool, and we're doing a little barbecue. So it is more than just a workout. I legitimately want to spend time with people and get to know them. Yeah. So, over the course of time, we'll get to do more and more. And it's awesome when people are like, oh, I found you because you posted something on 9 Miles East, and I wanted to come check it out. And I'm like, yes. Like, that's what it's about.
Yeah, bringing people in from all over the place.
Wherever, yeah.
And that's all on you, Katie. You did that. You did that.
I ran with it. Bill wanted to just work outside with me. I took it down somewhere completely different.
I love it. You built it, and I love it. I'm a part of it. I'm here for you.
Thanks.
Before you go, I have one last question.
Oh, the question.
The question.
Okay.
It's the final meal question, the death row meal question.
Yes.
So if you were to die tomorrow, if you were on death row, and you could have whatever meal you wanted, what would it be?
Dang it, I didn't get off easy. I've listened to pretty much every one of the podcasts so far, and you ask this of everybody, and I always think about it. And I think about like the people who are like, keep it really like real, and I love food. Like I really love food.
Yeah.
It's funny because somebody said to me recently, I love sugar. And I'm like, I love sugar too, but I don't love what it does to me. So it's really easy for me to like. But it doesn't
matter.
I know, because I'm going to die. All right. Yeah. All right. So what would I like to consume? How about let's do it this way. So this is my fascination. I need to go back to this place. It's a coffee shop in Concord, New Hampshire called Revelstoke. And they have the donuts. In New Hampshire, there's a company called Brothers Donuts. They have this, I think it's like a French twist donut. That Stephen was so good. And I've had, I think now 2 of them once. And I keep saying to Bill, like, I just want to go back and have a donut. Yeah. And we haven't made it up there. I'm like, okay, maybe John and Laura will bring some down the next time. But it's the coffee shop. So donuts. The idea of a donut, like a really good donut. Yeah. So coffee and a donut. And then I don't know what else I would eat. I don't think I could be disappointed with anything somebody would put in front of me.
But it's your choice. So
I know.
I would have lasagna. Like a
big old thing of lasagna. I know.
And beer. All the beer.
I think that out of all the things, like when people talk about like drinking and that type of thing, when you told me about 75 hard and you had to give up alcohol for 75 days, I was like, hard pass no. And then when I finally did it, I was like, wow, that was really a very insightful thing for me. And I never drank a lot, but like I would have a glass of wine and I didn't ever sleep really well. So that was a great learning point. So I don't need any alcohol in that last meal. All right. Okay. I'm going to have a coffee. Okay. I'm going to have a donut, and I'm going to have an incredible Fra Diavolo.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I'm going to have an incredible Fra Diavolo.
I love that. Yeah. Love that. Great last meal.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on today.
Yeah.
You've been a great friend, and I'd have to have you on again because it's always a pleasure talking to you. And
I had so much fun talking to you and Mike
Yeah.
too. Like this podcast thing, I dig it. Like, let's sit down, let's talk.
when's yours gonna start?
I have an idea for that too. I don't think Bill knows about it. I do have an idea for something like that too, but it's a matter of time.
Yeah.
Kind of put it in motion. Let's get Savage Sunday
Yeah.
like going. Every year I feel like I get a little bit more organized with it. It's not just so haphazard. So
No, you're doing a great thing.
Thanks.
It's really cool. Just to see where it started, like you said before, like with me and Mike and your husband and then how it's grown, and I love it. And you're doing a great thing. And keep up with her at Katie Tans, at Katie Tansey Nutrition.
no, just Katie Tansey.
Katie Tansey, you tell them. Where can they find you?
Instagram at Katie Tanz, Tanz. My full name is Katie Tansey, Tansey.com for my website.
Yep, check out Savage Sunday. Check out her nutrition coaching if you need help in that area. Keep in touch. Keep up with the rhythm.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much. Be healthy, my friends.